Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, on what would normally be the Halloween month for community poetry at Half Price Books. In honor of that space, which has been not running since the pandemic began, I'm reading material from new book releases. All of the poems I'm going to read for you in this reading right now are from the cc&d October 2022 issue that is volume 326. That's a lot. Well, there was like 199.5, 199.75, so there's more than 300 chapbook supplements, but this is the newest issue of cc&d magazine titled Animal Wink. Animal Wink. Animal Wink. Rah. Anyway, it's just a cool book. This is the most recent issue, and it's got a lot of poems in it, and a lot of these poems appear in different places. This first poem, this short one that is in this book, is also going to be the first poem in the 2023 Cyber Wit book of mine, of all about post-Roe v. Wade poems, as well as dealing with life and death stuff and suicide, as well as Bible poetry. But I think the first poem in the book is going to be titled in the book called Testament. And I only have one little copy of the book. One little copy of the book that also happens to be in cc&d Magazine's, I'm trying to show it off for everybody, cc&d Magazine's Animal Wink. This short poem is going to be in this as well, and this is why I wanted to share that with you first before I do other poems for the section. This is a poem in this book titled Flags at Half-Mast. Driving across the country, we pass a car dealership in Arkansas. U.S. flags at half-mast. I wondered if there was a mass shooting, but no other flags around were lowered. As we drove toward the next town, we wondered if the flags were at half-mast because of the recent overturning of Roe v. Wade and the death of women's rights. I'll give that one a moment of silence before I go on to the next one in cc&d Magazine. And it closes up. It's also not only in cc&d, but the next set of maybe two are also in the Women's Rights Issues book from Cyberwhip in 2022 that was released on Women's History Month, titled Shattering the Glass Ceiling. I've got two poems that are in both of these books. I show them off in as many ways as I can for everybody to see them. Try to show them off vertically and try to show them off horizontally because I have so many cameras, because I want to be able to share with as many people as possible here. The first one that I wanted to share with you is a poem that is titled Middle Class Husbands and Fathers, which I'm looking for because I'm going to show you that in both these books it also comes in a translation. I try to be able to help out people from around the world with these poems as well. But this first one is titled Middle Class Husbands and Fathers. It starts with a quote from Bob Lamb, who wrote in an essay in 1976. The quote is, "Rapists are not peculiar, abnormal men. Rapists are very normal, masculine men. Rapists come in all shapes and sizes, all races and masculinities, in all ages and social classes. Many are white, middle-aged, husbands and fathers." Rapists are not all convicted prisoners. Rapists are not all psychopaths. Rapists are not all welfare recipients. Rapists are not all foaming at the mouth. Rapists are not all abused by their parents. Rapists are not all sex depraved. Rapists are not all gun-toting criminals. Rapists are not all undereducated. Rapists are not all jobless. Rapists are not all beaten as children. Rapists are not all minorities. Rapists are not all criminally insane. Rapists are in your office. Rapists are in your convenience smart. Rapists are in your local tavern. Rapists are in your school. Rapists are in your restaurant. Rapists are in your carpool. Rapists are in your grocery store. Rapists are at your country club. Rapists are in your church. Rapists are in your family reunion. Rapists are in your living room. Rapists are in your bedroom. They come in all shapes and sizes. They're everywhere. Now that I've gone through that, the coolest thing about it in this book, and it does exist in cc&d, but this is bigger, I can show it to you in Shattering the Glass Ceiling, is that with these poems, some of them also have translations into Farsi. Thank you to my Iranian friend, Freed Mohammadi. Thank you very much. But middle class husbands and fathers does exist. I'm trying to hide and show it off, and what am I doing? It's kind of next to impossible. But if you want to check it out, you can check it out online at janetkuypers.com to get details about this book, Middle Class Husbands and Fathers, which is also listed there in translations as well. But I have one more that is in both of these books that I'd like to share with you. No, it doesn't come with a translation. It's a short one, and it is titled From in the Air. Have you ever noticed that the air isn't normal air in an airplane? I mean, there's just something about the air in the cabin that's different. It's got a smell to it. That's the only way I can describe it. Smell of all these people. Maybe not going places, but getting away as fast as they can. Once, when I was on a flight back from DC, a flight attendant walked by, a stack of magazines in her hand, Time, Newsweek, Business Week, and I stopped her asking what magazine she had, and she replied, "Oh, these magazines are for men." This is a true story. I asked her again, "What magazines do you have?" I had already read Time, so I took Newsweek. Okay, those were your two poems that were not only in the cc&d book, Animal Wink, but also the feminism poetry essay book titled Shattering the Glass Ceiling from Cyberwit Press that I'm thrilled to be able to show off. But I'm going to share with you one more poem that is in cc&d, because when there's one guy in particular that sends me stories about periodic table poems, I try to cram in my replies because I wrote all of them, not only in tour length, but actual poems. And I got one poem for Selenium that appears not only in the cc&d issue Animal Wink, thanks to James Bates, I believe that was the writing of it, but also in the 2015 poetry book, The Periodic Table of Poetry. And the fun thing about this one, it doesn't make money. It's $11.18 for elements 1 through 118 in the periodic table, which I think is just the coolest thing. At least the price can be good. It's not a money maker, but it's cool anyway. So I'm going to share with you this one poem that's in both of these books. And this poem, as I said, is titled Selenium. I hope you enjoy it. I have wanted them all dead. There's no one else I can say this to. But I have this overwhelming desire, I've had it for I don't know how long, to see them all suffer exorbitant pain as they all suffer to their last breath. I've been researching ways to extract my revenge and commit my final solution. It has to be something scientific, something methodical, something so complicated and convoluted that no one would ever suspect me. There's no way I can get used to uranium rods from the nuclear power plant I saw on my last road trip. There's no way I can get in a Fermilab nearby where they discover the radioactive plutonium to get trace amounts of neptunium or plutonium. Because spent or not, trace amounts of these radioactive elements would and could still be injected in their food or slipped into their hairspray, shot into their shampoo, and they'd never know it hit them. So, after I scour the radioactive elements in a periodic table that are used in nuclear weaponry, I glanced back toward the top of the table and I saw selenium. Wait a minute. I remember an episode of CSI where the actress who was a character on Melrose Place and was one of the women on Desperate Housewives, she conspired with another woman where one of them would marry a rich man and they would poison him with selenium until they died. And that would leave the one with a hefty sum of money to share with her female conspirator. Okay, time for some research. Selenium, when discovered, they noted the similarity of selenium to the previously known tellurium, named for the Earth, which is why it was named for the Greek mythology Selene, an archaic lunar deity. Although selenium is used today primarily in glass making and pigments, it's also a semiconductor with selenium's unusual ability of conducting electricity. But the light went off in my head. The selenium salts are toxic in large amounts, but here's the key. Trace amounts are necessary in all animals. This reminded me of that CSI episode where that red-headed actress worked with horses, which justified their need for selenium in their lives. Because although selenium is an essential trace element, excess amounts can be toxic. More than 400 micrograms per day can lead to selenosis. Acute oral exposure to selenium can lead to pulmonary edema or lung lesions, cardiovascular effects like tachycardia, gastrointestinal effects like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and don't forget the severe abdominal pains. Selenium ingested can lead to cirrhosis of the liver, and it will cause aches, irritability, chills, and tremors. You know, this element is really starting to look like the way to go for me. Add it to their pizzas and garlic bread, since it leaves a garlic odor on the breath, and no one's the wiser. And the thing is, selenium, it has an oxidant-oxide mode of action similar to that of arsenic, which, as I said, is exactly what I'm looking for. Selenium poisoning of water systems has occurred in the past, possibly resulting whenever new agriculture runoff courses started, so that it could be easy to get it into their drinks as well. So, now the question for me is how to get it, to place it in their food supply. I know some is needed for people who have selenium deficiency, especially for patients with cancer or AIDS, and if it is needed for animals, I even read a case where animals were given a wrong injection levels of selenium, causing mass horse deaths in a polo tournament. What? A polo tournament, really? A quick Google search for purchasing selenium will lead to many sites with no prescription needed to get exactly what I'm looking for. The last step is getting it without having it traced back to me and my name, because once I have it, I can get into their food and drink with no problem. Because, as I said, my overwhelming desire for I don't know how long to see them all suffer exorbitant and inextricable pain as they suffer to their last breath may finally have that last key, because selenium can make everything come together, and no one will be the wiser. Oh, I love acting like somebody that wants to kill somebody with a garlicky taste in selenium. And I love garlic, so please don't try to give me selenium and say it's extra garlic for you. Oh no, but I love garlic, not fair. Thank you very much for that reading, you guys. There's about the time for a normal reading supply, and I'll come in with another reading from new book releases from Scars Publications. Before I tell everyone to be safe, I will gently give a nod to everyone in Naples, my second home as I grew up, which is why I'm wearing my shirt of Naples Pier right now, that I had taken years ago. I hope everyone is remaining healthy there through Hurricane Ian, and I hope that everyone is remaining safe. I hope everyone has injections so that they don't feel like they have to worry so much about the pandemic that has closed the open mic that Tom Woodruff had run for years in Austin, Texas here. And I hope everyone's remaining creatively inclined. And thank you all so very much for listening. And I look forward to hearing from all of you and coming back with more poetry to share very, very soon. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, you guys. Thanks.